In this hyper-fast, always-on digital world, how do you actually make sure your software isn't just running, but running well? Well, the answer really comes down to having a constant, watchful eye on your systems. And that, my friends, is exactly what we're breaking down today: continuous monitoring. But before we dive into the solution, let's start with the problem. Let's talk about that high-stakes, all-hands-on-deck situation that, let's be honest, everyone in tech has nightmares about. I think we can all picture it, right? You've just pushed a big update, you're feeling pretty good about it, and then, bam, the alerts start blowing up your phone. That's right. The main application, the one the entire business depends on, is suddenly down. That new code, the one that was supposed to make everything better, yeah, it just triggered a massive outage. And this is so much more than just a technical glitch. This is a full-blown business crisis. The customer experience tanks, trust starts to evaporate, and your whole team is now scrambling, trying to find that one tiny needle in a giant digital haystack. This kind of reactive chaos is exactly what we're trying to avoid. So how do we break out of this cycle of, push, pray, and panic? We introduce a hero to our story. A vigilant, automated process that sees absolutely everything. And that hero is continuous monitoring, or CONMON for short. At its core, it's an automated process that acts like the central nervous system for your software. It doesn't just passively watch, it's actively on the lookout for problems, from security threats to performance dips, and it immediately tells the right people so they can get to work on a fix. And this is a really important point. Continuous monitoring isn't just about watching the final app on a live server. No, it's about having visibility across the entire development pipeline. We're talking from the very first line of code all the way to how the user is interacting with it in the real world. It's a complete, live picture of your system's health. This brings us to a core philosophy here, the idea of shifting left. See, instead of waiting for a disaster to happen way over on the right in production, the goal is to find and fix problems much, much earlier in the development cycle. It's all about being proactive instead of reactive, because let's face it, catching a bug during development is so much cheaper and easier than fixing a full-blown crisis. So, what is this watchful eye actually looking at? Well, it's not just one thing. Think of it as a series of layers, all built on top of each other, starting from the ground up. Okay, so it all starts with the foundation, the infrastructure. You can think of this like checking the vital signs of your hardware and virtual resources. We're asking really basic but totally critical questions. Are the servers about to run out of memory? Is the storage about to fill up? This is the fundamental health check for absolutely everything else. All right, next we move up a layer to the application itself. This is where we see how our software is actually performing out in the wild. Is the service even online? How long is it taking to complete a purchase? Are people seeing a bunch of cryptic error messages? This layer is like a direct report card on how our code is behaving for real users. Of course, no application lives in a vacuum, right? It has to talk to other services. So network monitoring keeps an eye on those crucial communication pathways. It makes sure that data is flowing smoothly and securely between all the different pieces of your system by watching things like bandwidth, firewalls, and network lag. And finally, we get to the layer that, honestly, matters the most, the user. This is where we move beyond just technical stats and try to understand the actual customer experience. How are people really using the app? Did they even notice that cool new feature you just rolled out? This gives you priceless feedback on whether all your hard work is actually making a difference. So we've got all this data pouring in from all these different layers. But what's the point? What does it all add up to? Let's connect the dots from this techie practice back to some real-world business value. What happens is you create this powerful, virtuous cycle. By detecting errors early, you drastically reduce system downtime. Less downtime naturally leads to a much better, more reliable user experience. And a great user experience? Well, that directly boosts your business's credibility and trustworthiness. It's the solution to that nightmare scenario we started with. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how does the system physically collect all of this information? Let's take a quick peek under the hood and look at the actual mechanics of how this data gets collected. So, at a really high level, there are two main ways to gather these metrics. First, you have the push model, where each system sends its health data to a central collector. Then you have the pull model, where that central collector reaches out and asks for the data from each system. Now, each way has its pros and cons. Think of the push model like each of your systems proactively sending a text message saying, "Hey, I'm okay." It's really distributed and easy for a new system to just join in. The pull model, on the other hand, is more like a manager calling each system for a status report. It's more centralized and it gives you more control because that manager can ask for specific info at any time. Which one is right really just depends on the kind of system you're building. All right, as we start to wrap this up, let's zoom back out and really focus on the big picture, the main thing to take away from all of this. When you put it all together, the takeaway here is pretty clear. Continuous monitoring isn't just another tool. It's a fundamental strategy. It's the live, absolutely essential dashboard for your entire digital operation. It's the thing that transforms a team from constantly putting out fires to one that has proactive control over the health and performance of its systems. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We live in a world of nonstop change and systems that get more complex by the day. Having a continuous feedback loop is literally essential for survival. But as our systems get smarter, we have to ask ourselves, is just monitoring continuously enough anymore? Or is the next step something even more intelligent?